What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right to the topic, and that is general orders. There's a kid that posted out there on the Reddit saying he's having a hard time learning general orders because he is playing too much PlayStation and hanging out with his family. Now, I want to say this is very basic. You need to know this. It's going to be in boot camp. It's going to be in A school. It's going to be when you get your warfare pins. It's going to be there as you're about to get signed off for watch. It's going to be there on your different Sailor of the Quarter boards that they'll help you look better, advance against your peers. These are very basic questions that you should know. Now, the general orders are typically very hard to learn because they are out of context. It's hard to put into words what is actually happening, and maybe understanding layman's terms, which I'm going to break down here for you, will help you out. I don't want you guys to be overburdened by this. You're probably asking, do I need to learn it? Well, why do something later that you could do now? Learn it now, have it in your head before you go to boot camp, and it's way easier. And if you don't learn them, that's fine, because guess what? You're just going to be working out a lot. So I hope you enjoy working out, because trust me, you're going to get dropped if you don't know this stuff. It will also be on your questions that when you get the uniform inspections done. So if you miss a question, that's a hit. You can only miss so many hits as far as what is going on in the inspection uniform-wise. And then if your question's wrong too, that's just another easy thing that you could get right. Let's get into the video. It is literally the basis of what you are going to do while you're on duty, standing the watch as somebody in the military. The basics. The first one. Take charge of this post and all government property in view. You are literally standing there, standing guard. Everything you see, you're a Lion King pretty much. That's your land.
Look, Simba, everything the light touches is our kingdom.
Wow.
When you're standing watch, you can't just stand there and not move. You have to also patrol like a perimeter, right? Like that's what this is about, is you taking a watch or a duty, ensuring security of whatever you're in charge of. So you walk. And as you're walking, are you going to be staring at the ground? No, you're going to be actually looking for what's going on. For example, you're walking around your ship, you're looking for suspicious stuff that's going to happen. Makes sense? So this is part of the story of your 11 general orders. Walking down and you see little Johnny, doing something he's not supposed to. What are you going to do? Because obviously your second general order, you were there walking to check if there was anything going on. The third one, report all violations of orders you're instructed to enforce. Say the CO says, smoking lamp is out and so is smoking. I don't know. I'm making stuff up as I go. Are you just going to take the information and do nothing with it? No, that leads to the fourth one. Fourth one is repeat all calls more distant from the guardhouse than my own. Oh, go figure. You take that information and you're going to pass it on to someone else that needs to know. Now the fifth one, to quit your post only when properly relieved. You've done your duties, you've walked around, you are going to be relieved to go on break, go to lunch, not be on duty anymore, and pass it off to the guy that's probably late. Now this rolls into the sixth one. Whenever you are actually going to have a duty, you need to have a turnover. Now, in order to have a proper turnover, you need to tell somebody all the way from the commanding officer down the chain of command. You're going to take all the information from the people that are above you as little Johnny Seaman and say, I will obey those things. Roger that. I'm taking the watch. That is what you're doing in number 6. Now, out of order, the 7 can't really fit anywhere else. I'll be honest with you, I can't fit this into the story. 7, talk to nobody except in the line of duty. But booty duty, I don't know. Remember something. 8 is to give the alarm in case of fire or disorder. Again, not really in order. It could be part of the reporting stuff. I think this is specific to fire or disorder, but say somebody's rambunctious and they're not doing what they're supposed to on the ship, and you're going to report it. That's pretty much what you're doing here. Now, if it doesn't fall under, fire or disorder, or something that's covered that your CO is telling you, number 9 is called the officer of the deck, in any case not covered by instructions. So now let's get into 10, all right? So the way I look at it is like a duty day. Your ensign goes up, your ensign goes down every day at sunrise and sunset. So number 10, to salute all officers in all colors and standards not case. Colors is what's happening when the flag raises and lowers. Duty crews, typically the person that's going to raise and lower any ensign for sunrise and sunset. So that is the end of the day. Now when the ensign, the flag goes down at night because it's sunset, this leads you to the 11th General Order to be especially watchful at night because it's nighttime now. So out of these, I can't create a story out of 7, 8, or kind of. Those 3 are going to be where it's kind of hard for most people. I can tell a story with those, and then 10 and 11. But if you can find a way to remember 7, 8, 9, do it, please. I think it's important to give context as far as what the general orders are, what they mean, and go through it. I don't want you to nuke this with remembering random stuff. For example, the thing I'm looking at, just to make sure I had everything in order, just so I don't give any bad information exactly. Number 5, to quit your post only when properly relieved, they said, hint, you quit work at 5. And I'm like, when you learn these, it's good to remember in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is cool. A lot of people do the mistake of trying to go through different ones from the start and just remember them out of order. Remember them from 1 to 11 at first. Then go from 11 to 1. Because if you can learn forwards, backwards, forwards, and then go all around that information, you will know that you have mastered it because then it's actually in here. Now, I want to talk a little bit about why people have a tough time remembering this. This is because you sit at home, you're bored, you don't have any incentive or push to get you to learn it. This skill of remembering random information verbatim is something you'll need to know in boot camp, A school, in the fleet, your surface pins, everything. The military has taught me how to learn random information. I don't know how that is for you, but I'm going to give some tips. So I will talk about my own personal experience as someone that's been through over 2.5 years of military training and education. So a lot of people mix up active learning and passive learning. Now passive is like, oh, I read an article and I don't have to really test on it and I just read over and I got the gist of it. But if I had to take a test on it or actually regurgitate verbally what was happening, I couldn't do it in a coherent manner. You need to turn that passive, like floating of information into active. It is in your brain, okay? There are a lot of people that are in depth that are going to be wanting to do the same thing as you. Learn their general orders, and you may be leaving towards the same date. If you're in the military, you are not going to be in the military by yourself. You're not going to be just alone and afraid in the dark. You need to learn how to make friends in your DEP group. You need to learn how to make friends while you're in the military because you are not going to make it through this entire thing alone. That is just the nature of the beast, and you will need to learn this. My suggestion is if you learn with somebody, it will click better because you will know what they're bad at and they will know what you're bad at, and they will audit you as to what you are good and bad at. That way it's like, I'm not going to ask you general order number 1 because you've already known to take charge of this post. You know that, so why am I going to ask you that again? A lot of people will repeat things that they feel confident about because they give themselves a pat on the back and say, oh, I know that. Don't do that. You need to audit yourself from what you know and don't know. A lot of people have an ego while they're learning to not really do that and just be like, well, I'm good at this. No, stop doing that. Use someone else as your partner to engage you when you are doing that. Another thing is there is context to while you learn. So for example, if you're studying with somebody and something funny happens on number 7, talk to no one except in the line of duty, and someone says, talk to no one except in the line of booty. You know what I mean? Like something funny where you're like, oh, I'm never going to forget that now. 7, duty, booty. Okay, I don't know. I'm just going to remember that. And you will remember this stuff just out of pure like storytelling. There are several ways to obtain information. I personally hate writing stuff because your hands are going to hurt if you write enough. And I think a lot of people end up passively just writing words on a piece of paper without actually knowing them. And on top of that, you will never have to write your general orders. You are going to say them every time. I'm a person where I believe if you are going to learn something, learn it how you're going to perform it. So if you have to verbally say the general orders verbatim, I need you to learn those verbatim. So for me, I stand around walking, bouncing a ball, do something repetitive just to like fidget with something, and I'll just say it over and over and over again. And then once I mess up at general order 4 or 5, then I'll say, okay, I need to revert back. I'm going to start back over again. So that way I keep ingraining every single time. So I hope this video helps some of you guys out, maybe with some tips or tricks, because I honestly don't think high school is going to teach a lot of you guys how to study for stuff that the military wants you to do. A lot of this verbatim stuff, high school doesn't really ingrain that in you unless you maybe have to learn lines for a play or something. So if you like this video, throw a thumbs up on it. Definitely comment. Be ready for future videos where I can explain more about the start guide. And I appreciate you guys watching. But if you do have any other questions, I'm going to caveat this entire video. I keep getting questions where I've already made a video on something. Search Nikki MGTV. You have a question about car buying in the military, or do you need a car, or do you need a license? I have a video on that. Do you want to know about picking orders? I've got multiple videos on that. You want to know about blue side, green side corpsman? I've got multiple videos on that. I'm just letting you guys know I have a lot of videos covering the stuff that you guys want to know, but actively search for it. You can't just write me every question you have, and it's going to set you guys up better for the military as well to search out answers rather than just asking somebody for the answer, okay? But if you do have a question I have not covered, I promise you guys, or something very specific to your case, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.